What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to a new review. For today I have a new dashcam from VANTRUE called the VANTRUE T2. Now for the most part this does everything that any other dashcam does, but this one has a feature that I haven't seen before. So this camera can stay on 24/7 without being hardwired to your car's battery. Well, kind of, because it comes with an OBD cable and that cable connects to the car's OBD port, and this way the camera can stay on 24/7. Now this camera isn't exactly cheap, so if you're planning to buy this camera you're gonna have to spend somewhere around $170, so definitely not cheap, and I'm gonna leave some links in the video's description just in case you wanna check it out. The T2 is using the Novatec 96655 processor and the Sony IMX323 image sensor with a field of view of 160 degrees, and it can record at the maximum resolution of 1080p at 30 frames per second. Starting with a very quick unboxing, so the camera comes in a good looking box. On the front of the box you can see a picture of the camera, and turning the box around you can see some of the specifications. Inside the box you're gonna find the camera and the windshield mount, and aside from that you're gonna find two user manuals. One of them is a quick starting guide and the other one is the full user manual, and I definitely recommend checking out the user manual because it's got a lot of pictures and a lot of information. Aside from that you're gonna find two cables. The first cable is the OBD cable that I mentioned earlier, so if you need the camera to stay on 24/7 use that cable, and the second cable is a regular cable that we've seen in the past for other dash cams. So if you don't need the camera to stay on 24/7 and you just need it to record whenever you're driving, use the second cable. So if you use the OBD cable, the camera will be on even when you're not driving the car. So the parking monitor will be on whenever the car is turned off. So if something moves in front of the car, the camera will start recording and will save those recordings. That works fine if you drive your car every single day because the battery will recharge every time you drive your car. Now, if you leave the camera sitting in the car for a few days, of course the camera will discharge your car's battery, and whenever the car's battery reaches 11.5 volts, the camera will shut down. And that's great because otherwise the car wouldn't start. So the 24/7 recordings only works good if you drive your car every day. If you're just gonna leave the car parked for like a week, that 24/7 recording is not gonna happen. And we're moving to the camera itself. So the camera, it's mostly made out of plastic. This is some type of rubberized plastic that feels very soft to touch, but the camera looks very similar with other VANTRUE cameras that we've seen in the past. So on the front we have a couple of sensors. Those are the motion sensors for the parking monitor, and we also have the lens, and the lens seems to be covered by glass, and that's great mostly if the camera is gonna be in direct sunlight, because if it would be covered by plastic, well, the plastic gets foggy and so on, but this one is covered by glass. The windshield mount is very easy to remove. You just press that button and you pull it out, and this is also replaceable with the GPS windshield mount, but you're gonna have to spend another $20–25 for that other mount. And if you want the camera to record your speed and your location, you're gonna have to get that other GPS windshield mount. Me personally, I've been using just this one, and it's fine with me. Moving to the back of the camera, there we have a 2-inch screen that's better and bigger than other previous VANTRUE dash cameras that we've seen in the past. Moving to the left hand side of the camera, there we have a mini USB port, so you can power the camera through that port, and we also have a little plastic cover that covers the HDMI out and the slot for the SD card. So this camera can take SD cards up to 64 gigs, and I tried two 64 gig SD cards with it and they both seem to work fine, and I'm actually gonna leave a link for those SD cards in the video description just in case you don't know what SD cards to get for your camera. And moving to the bottom of the camera, there we have the hole for the microphone, and we also have a few buttons so you can access the camera's menus, and that's pretty much it for the camera. Next I want to show you some recordings that I've done during the day and some recordings that I've done during the night, because that's the most important thing for any dash cam out there. So first things first, let's check out some 1080p recordings that I've done during the day. It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Okay, we can eat first.
Whatever you would like.
Happy with this egg first.
So weird with this building here.
Oh, yeah,
Like it's blocking everything now. Yeah, there has to be. Yeah.
And as you've seen for yourself, the daytime recordings look pretty good and they are sharp enough so you can actually read the license plates on cars, and that's definitely important. Next, we're gonna check out some recordings that I've done during the night, and once again, all the recordings for nighttime were recorded in 1080p at 30 frames per second. And as you've seen for yourself, the nighttime recordings aren't anything spectacular, and you can kind of see the license plates, but only kind of, and only in some situations, not all situations. Now the camera has a time-lapse mode as well, so basically the camera will take pictures every few seconds and then will stitch that video together. We'll make like a video from your pictures, and that could be useful if you're going on a long road trip or something like that, and this way you can save some space on that SD card. Using the camera, it's very simple. So you have the menu button at the bottom of the camera, and the menu is divided in three menus. So you have the recording setup, we have the system setup, and the GPS setup. But if you want to use the GPS, as I said before, you're going to have to buy the GPS unit for this camera. In the recording setup, we can change the resolution, and you can either record in 1080p or 720p. You can turn on or off the loop recording. You can set the sensitivity for the G sensor, and the G sensor is used to save recordings whenever you're braking harder or whenever you're accelerating harder, or if something hits you. We can turn on or off the audio recordings, you can set the parking monitor, you can also turn on or off the HDR mode, and as I said before, we have that time-lapse function as well. For the system setup, you can change the language, and the camera supports a few languages, not that many, but it still supports some. You can format the SD card, you can set the time and the date for the camera, you can turn on or off the LCD, so the LCD can stay on at all times, or it can turn off after a certain period of time. You can turn off the device's sounds and so on. So definitely a lot of options available for this camera. And it's time to conclude this video. So as I said at the beginning, the only notable feature for this camera is the ability to record 24/7 without having to hardwire the camera to your car's battery, which is not the easiest thing to do out there. Now the video quality is average, and if you don't need that 24/7 recording, so that parking monitor, you could technically buy a different camera that's cheaper and it will do the exact same thing as this one. So if the 24/7 recording isn't that important, you can probably get a cheaper camera than this one. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.